Yep, just finished up sending out the last of the invites on that. I'm also in the midst of trying to bridge over from Ethereum on one of my wallets so that I can buy my own Gooeys when the public minting is open. But yeah, outside of that, we can kick it off in about, what have we, 53 minutes time. We'll be opening up for the public mint. And just before we kick off, I just want to give a quickly address something from last night where we went up, I think, about 2 hours late on the actual mint with it. And there were some concerns, of would it be a late launch tonight? Can I step out for a couple of minutes, that kind of stuff? The answer is no. It will be happening on the dot. So with last night, the actual contract that the NFTs are running off is housing the full core game logic as well. On Ethereum, and in fact on every EVM, that's including Polygon, etc. as well, we are limited to about 24 kilobytes of space so we can actually launch that in. So all of our code has to be within 24 kilobytes. That is including the contracts, the libraries that the contracts are using. So the ERC 721 NFT standard, that is taking up quite a bit of it already. We have to have obviously libraries in there for ownable, for context, for addresses, all the important stuff. And we had to fit a full game into the rest of it. So as we came closer to the actual launch of it, we had to keep optimizing. And by optimizing, we might even share the chat logs that I have in the team chat at some point. Because I'm running around looking for where we could save bytes off it to get us down within that limit. And we are literally on the nose with it. With us having to go down that deep into it and try and optimize everywhere we could, even to the point of making shorter strings to put in for, giving feedback messages and stuff like that. It is very important to get that very thoroughly tested and make sure it's all working as expected. Thankfully, it passed with flying colors, and it's obviously up and running now, and everybody can see that. The game side of it is in the contract itself. As of yet, we do not have verified source code on there. It is something that we're currently discussing on if we're going to be verifying and releasing the full open source code to that. I am interested in doing so, but the fear is that right now, if we were to release that source code, we would likely see a couple of knockoffs jump up within days. The art obviously is much harder to mimic, but we don't really want to give anybody a stepping stone on it while we're still, developing the actual game client, getting that out to you guys. So yeah, a lot of things kind of came into fruition last night along testing. Everything went through perfect on it. We got the launch up. We've got about 250 mints taking place on it so far. So there are less than 750 Gooeys that can be minted from here. Another good question I saw in Telegram, which I'm just going to cover now in case it wasn't taken down. Somebody was asking, the new Gooeys that you tumble or breed, do those go on OpenSea? The answer is yes. When you tumble a new Gooey, it will be immediately available on OpenSea. So if you have many Gooeys and you just want to, use those on OpenSea to prop up your Gooey stack or anything like that, then that is completely open to you from the moment that you complete that process. The population in game, so I went with only 1,000 mints to start off with. We want the population to, I guess, be evolutionary from the player base itself. When you're tumbling two Gooeys together, it is actually going to be important what traits and attributes they have, as the offspring will inherit those. And one thing nobody has seen yet, it is on chain, and you can actually check emissions that are coming out from every time a Gooey is minted. But they all have stats. They all have health, they all have speed, they all have defense, and they all have an attack stat. If you get two Gooeys with a high attack stat and they tumble, then the resulting offspring will have a high attack stat and likely, be able to outshine their parents in that. There's also a family tree that you can go down through in the contract itself. This is done by linked list. So what that means is you would have one Gooey, say, in generation 3, and they will be linked to two Gooeys being, mom and dad, or, well, I don't think they have genders. We'll call them mom and dad, or mom and mom, dad and dad, or I don't know, goo and goo, whatever works. But you can keep following that through. You can go up to goo number 1, and then they will have their own goo number 1 and goo number 2, or goo mommy or goo daddy. And you can keep following that through. It is evolutionary in it, and traits as well, as in what you actually see on cosmetics, they can also be passed down. So I think Skylar gave the information this earlier that I passed on to himself, that number 1 is that yes, there are really rare traits in it. There are some that we haven't seen yet. There have been no legendaries rolled. There have been a couple of rares rolled. But even if you've got a rare, I think we'll see as we kind of go on that you really did get lucky with that. You can kind of even see it at the moment when you're seeing that there's a couple of things that have only had, one copy minted and stuff like that. Like, I think the runestone Gooeys are the rarest right now, and there's only, I think, 2 or 3 of them. And there's a lava Gooeys. I think, again, there's only about 2 or 3 of those. And there are rares that have not even rolled yet, which have the same odds of spawning as the runestone Gooeys and the lava Gooeys. And then there are legendary ones. And that's actually going to be interesting to see, because the chances of getting a legendary are incredibly low. So low that even if we were to mint 10,000 Gooeys, there is a chance you would not see it. So I think it's about a 0.2% chance that there is of rolling it. But see, this goes through a qualification roll beforehand. So it's actually a lot worse than that. So the way that we assign out rarities in-game is that you have a qualification roll, which first tells you what rarities are open to you to roll on. So you might roll fantastically to pick your actual cosmetic. You might roll, 100. But it turns out in your qualifying roll, you only rolled a 35. So we didn't even open up the rares and the legendaries for you to be able to get your hands on. So we wanted to make rares really feel rare. And if you get a legendary, again, that's the title implies, it's legendary. And again, this is where breeding comes into a very large part of it, that if you have a runestone Gooey or you have a lava Gooey right now, if you're able to find another copy of that and you're able to tumble the 2 of them together, the offspring has an 80% chance of inheriting that. So this is why we want to see where player evolution takes us on this one. Now, it is also possible that the lava runestones and other rare Gooeys, they might have all just rolled really poorly on stats. So at that point, you come into aesthetic versus function. And what do we see actually getting evolved? So yeah, I'm really interested to see how it pans out. But again, there are only going to be, 1,000 public mints on this one. So when it goes from there, it's kind of a lot more evolutionary. And it is possible that as evolution goes, we might not see some traits in it. They might be wiped out. And similarly, again, if we get really lucky and a legendary or 2 show up, if you have 1 legendary, you still have a chance of passing it off to an offspring way higher than just rolling it. But yeah, if you have 1 legendary in there, then that could basically start being seen as, prime goods in the game. Everybody wants to get some legendary cosmetics. And when it comes to traits and stuff like that, as in you want to bring up their health or their speed, much easier to do. But again, doing the actual process of breeding, tumbling, stuff like that, that isn't something that you just can't be able to log on and do. We've also made us have to work for that. And we look forward to seeing people work for it. The questing system in-game will require people to be smart about how they actually breed their Gooeys. The limit on how many times you can tumble them without using, certain food items and stuff like that is also in place. There's also a scaling cost to make sure that, you're not farming one unless it's really worth it. So yeah, really interested to see how this is actually going to pan out. And all this logic is already on chain. This is all in the source code and ready to go. And there will be 2 more contracts that will get launched up over the next week. And that will be the actual Goo contract. And as Skylar and Elijah were mentioning, the food contract. So yeah, there's a lot in there. And that's why we had to spend quite a while doing final testing over. Because as you can imagine, getting all that within 24 kilobytes was pretty difficult. I mean, we have 2 contracts that we're doing the diamond pattern out onto, just to make sure we can have all of the game logic in there. And we've also built it in that this can be, expanded upon over time. Now, we can't change the original contract that's gone up, but we can add systems to it. If we want to add in something new that will be able to reward you with either food or with, the goo that's in place, or we want to add in even something completely brand new to it, like, weapons or anything like that, or even land. That's all. We're able to add that onto it with new contracts. And that's where I'm excited about this whole process going, that it's going to be very player owned. And I just think that is really how Web3 is meant to be when it comes to gaming. So personally, I'm really excited for it. Love waking up today and seeing everybody showing off their Gooeys. Keep at it. It's brilliant to see it on Twitter and getting more people involved. It's the best thing that you can do for the community right now is show it off and bring more people into the community, as all of the stuff that we go down onto with our evolutionary path lines and stuff like that, it's way more fun and way cooler when we have a bunch of people that are competing for what they want to be the best Gooeys. So yeah, welcome to our launch party. There is approximately 40 minutes until we open up for public mint. So please do be ready. And yeah, let's roll on with the questions.
All right, well, the first question we have is how much will the cost of tumbling new Gooeys be? Not talking about a specific price, but more in general terms of cheaper or expensive.
So the first one is pretty cheap, but that's only for generation 0. When you're in generation 1, so we're going by generations, and in generation 0 has a cheap cost to have their first Gooey. And I don't, again, I'm not talking about this in terms of, price or anything like that. It's based off the in-game token. And I've based that off the amount of hours or days or otherwise that you may need to put into questing to actually, earn that. So number 1, our generation 0, the first generation then that'll be born from that, yeah, pretty affordable. From there, it starts, forgive the phrase, it starts tumbling, snowballing, if you will. It gets much more difficult as you go along. So some people might have seen the game design documents that I put out, and there was basically a baby boomer level in it, which is, there's going to be, we won't call it a population explosion, but we're going to have the population peak around generation 2. And after that, then it gets much more difficult. So Gooeys that are born after generation 2 or 3, they have much less chance of being able to tumble at all without being given one of the food items that will allow them to start tumbling. So it's a little bit morbid as the generations go on, there'll be less babies. But as people continue to actually play the game and get into it, we want to make it so that every Gooey is essentially, not adding to some inflationary mechanism in NFTs. We don't want them to be too easily flooded into the market. We want older ones to be able to drop down in prices. People, I suppose, are breeding the exact type of Gooeys that they want and working hard towards getting their perfect one. And basically having that, trickle down to the rest of the player community then, where they're able to pick them up. We envision that, the supply, as it comes up towards that kind of boom period, it will still be relatively low. Like there's a couple of NFT projects I've seen where, they've been launched for a week and they have like 30 or 40,000 different character NFTs. So we deliberately avoided that kind of situation. We don't want to just be flooded in them. We want there to be an actual use for the Gooeys in it. And as time goes on, as the game gets more popular, we'd like to see kind of, I suppose, a controlled increase on that. Now, this is, we were talking about kind of, expanding on the game in the future and stuff like that. And if we found that, people have a reason they genuinely want to have and play with, 50 Gooeys each or anything like that, at that point, then we might kind of, hold a DAO vote with the community, see what they think about, making it a little bit easier to pick up, say, one of the tumble giving items, or, if we should do, say, a secondary mint, or if there's anything like that that people are interested in. But right now, the plan is that, we'll see generation 0 being great for kind of bringing the community up to speed on it. But that's the reality of what we want to do. We want people to get their generation 0 Gooeys, make a new Gooey, and then give that Gooey to a friend or put it on OpenSea or what have you, get more people in. And after that, then we start slowing it down to what we would believe would be, a kind of natural, good player base for the type of game that we're building and the type of community that we have in that. So I hope that answers the question, but I think it'll become a bit more clear when the actual Goo token is out and when you can jump into the game and have a look at the economy inside of it.
Yeah, I think that definitely answers the question really well. I think at least what I'm hearing in there is that there's really an emphasis with Gooeys on making sure that there's a game to be played. And I think that's one of the core issues we see a lot in the P2E space, is that it's designed so that people who mint first can basically, make a bunch of money and cash out and they don't ever have to touch it again. We want people to be able to earn and also actually have a game to play in. So I think that ends up being the balance that this system helps strike, is that Gooeys are rare. Gooeys are valuable. You're going to want to have Gooeys to send on quests and some Gooeys to maybe share and sell on the market. You're going to have some that are going to be dedicated to kind of helping you get your perfect cosmetic Gooey, your perfect stat world Gooey, whatever. But it's about actually treating the game as a game. In some ways, it has a bit of an RPG aspect in the like stat crunching, stat rolling. It's very much like at least sounds to me like an IV/EV stat thing from Pokemon, where you get, you work and you tweak and you tweak and you tweak until you get it as like perfect as possible. So I'm really excited for that kind of stuff, and I hope that everybody else is too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're talking about the other stats that are on it as well, with HP and speed, defense, attack, etc. Another one then is what we originally called bond, but it's not quite the right word for it because it's shared across the entire ecosystem. It's in this Gooey won't lose this stat when it, if you give it to another player. But that goes up. It's basically, I suppose, more trust. It's or even domestication, if you want to call it that. It's awful word to use, so I prefer to think of them as being out in the wild and frolicking. But as this goes up and you keep them fed on time and you actually pay attention to them and stuff like that, this also dictates basically the generation that will follow that. If you have two Gooeys that have a really high trust level, then the Gooey that results from that will nearly always have better stats in them. So yeah, we've made these as something that you have to add your own value to. If you're planning on just picking one up and ignoring it forever, probably won't go very well for you. So this is something that we're developing to reward players with. And that's something really important to keep in mind as we kind of jump into the play to earn side of it.
Yeah, I think that's a really good approach. So for the next question we have, can we know a bit more about renting a Gooey? I wonder how players that haven't minted will be able to start playing. I also wonder about players that give their Gooeys to rent. How do they gain from it? Do they make a profit? Thank you. That's the question.
Yep, cool. So the renting system, originally it was a lot more basic, and it was actually while I was building it into the current version of the contract that it went for a little bit of a revamp. Originally, it was just going to be that there be an in-game market, and then that's it, you just rent it out. But there were some security problems that I was kind of flagging myself while building on that version. One of them is, people that will put the GUI up for rent and then will sell it, and they've actually rented it out for a month and a half, stuff like that. So, somebody picks up a GUI and you can't even use it. And yeah, the in-game market system would help with that, and that we could warn them beforehand, but we won't be able to do anything about OpenSea. So it's kind of important that before we put it in there has to be a very easy way to tell and, look up GUIs in game and see, are they on a quest right now? Because you can sell a GUI on OpenSea if it's on a quest. And we have to be able to inform people that, hey, look, this GUI is actually on a quest and it's going to be gone for, 100 hours. So if you're picking this up now, you need to know that you're not going to be able to actually play with it for 100 hours, but you will get the rewards when it comes back to you. So, happy days on that. So, yeah, when we're looking into the actual rental system now, I'm trying to build a little bit more, I suppose, a complex system in it. And in this system, I would prefer if we actually had, I suppose, a custodial contract that if you're renting it out, neither the owner or I suppose the rentee would have it in their actual wallet, meaning they're not able to put it onto OpenSea or trade it away or stuff like that, but they're granted access to an amount of functions that are given from the actual owner of the GUI. So the functions might include tumbling. So if people did have, say, a legendary GUI, they didn't want to give it away, but they did want to, allow the highest bidder to be able to tumble with it, then, that's something that we want to allow for. Similarly, if the player says no, you can have this GUI, but you're only to go questing with it. You can't, you can't feed it crap, or you can't tumble with it. You can't nothing like that. You just go questing. And what we want to see from that then is basically a profit share. So when the GUI comes back from any quest or anything like that, and it's turned in, and they have their goo, they have their fruits and stuff like that, we want then that to be able to go, say, maybe 80% of it or 90% or whatever goes to the player, and then the other 10 or 20% would go to the actual owner of it. And that's something that we want to allow players to actually decide on themselves of what kind of profit share are we doing on this. As I think really the player one economy on that one would be best, because we don't want people we don't want to turn around and say, you're only allowed to get a 2% profit share or something like that, because nobody would care about using the system. And I think crypto in general has taught us that this is stuff that is generally best decided upon by the actual players itself. So yeah, I think that we want to put as much freedom in there as possible, but we also want to just give general protections so that, somebody doesn't run in and, pick up something off OpenSea and, it turns out that it's on rental for 3 months or 6 months or whatever. Like the quest that we currently have in, the maximum is 120 hours. So even if you do, you just pick it up and you don't actually look at it in game, you don't realize it's on quest, you're only waiting a small couple of days in a worst case scenario. And at the end of it, then, you'll get goodies from it. So that's a decent trade-off. For people that, buy a GUI and then they find out I can't even play with this for 6 months, I'm just going to get a small profit share. That's not very interesting. Now, there are people I'm sure who would be, more than interested in just buying them with rentals already done. Maybe it will add value for other players. But this is why we want to make it on its own, kind of custodial contract that as much visibility can be kind of granted on that one and allow the most options. So yeah, that's pretty much the rental system in a nutshell.
Thank you for sharing that. This next question I'm going to take a minute to answer. So is there any interest to potentially develop the game into a playable 2D Pokemon style game with PvP and PvE mechanics? I think for what it's worth, we're not setting out to make Pokemon. When I mention Pokemon, I'm talking about like the stat crunching element of the game. We are definitely exploring what the game can expand into in the future. But that's something that we still need to really iron out before we start talking about what we're thinking. We need to make sure that that the contracts we'd have to build for those things are feasible in the size limits that Owen has described. We want to make sure that they work well with the core systems of the game. We don't necessarily want to take what we've made for Gooeys now and then maybe turn it into Pokemon if that's not how the game evolution should happen. And so we want to be very clear on what features we're adding, how they're going to get added, and all those things. We have talked about maybe some PvE mechanics, but that's not something that's confirmed that we're ready to talk about yet.
Yeah, that's a really good answer. So the reality is with how we have actually, I suppose, built the contract and stuff like that, and how we've the core gameplay inside of it, and we're setting up things so we can expand on top of it, we can do a lot. So if we wanted to build, 2D Pokemon and stuff like that, we could. I don't think, it might not be what we're interested in building or what the community is interested in building. But hey, you can always open up a DAO vote if you've got some Dogira, right? But yeah, we are always interested in looking at what we can build that will be kind of in line with both what the players are looking to build and I suppose what we're kind of seeing the longer term future with it as well. And so I just want to take a moment to pause for a second. I love all the Gooeys that are in the actual listeners section. It's so cool. Everybody has a Gooey on. But yeah, so when it comes to the actual game development of it, we can do a lot. If we did want to build 2D Pokemon on top of it, it's doable. Yeah. It would actually suit blockchain decently. That a lot of the blockchain stuff needs to be done on, I suppose, more lazy algorithms and stuff like that. Like, we can't hammer a blockchain and send through. Like, we can't send through a command for every time you walk 1 foot in any direction, stuff like that. Number one, even on Polygon, you'd manage to run out of gas. And number two is crash a chain while you're doing it too. But with Pokemon, turn-based, and a back end that's kind of, doing a little bit of cheat detection and stuff like that for any off-chain stuff we need to run with it, definitely doable. But again, this is all stuff that we would absolutely love to hear from the entire community on. So yeah, if you do have any kind of suggestions or recommendations or anything like that, if you have Dogira tokens or if you have a Gooey, then definitely open up a DAO vote on it. Let us know your thoughts on it, or even just drop it into any of the chat channels we have. We have the Gooeys channel, Dogira token channel, we have Discord, etc. Yeah, but it's certainly doable. All of that stuff can be put in the game at some point. I think it would be really cool to see alternative ways of using them outside of just what's in the core contract. Yeah. Good question.
And I think we've talked about a bit about this behind the scenes. So correct me if I'm wrong about this, Owen. If a rare or legendary trait is not initially minted, is there a chance of them somehow appearing in the future? Now, I believe that we've talked about like a mutation factor that might make that possible, but yeah, you would need to answer that, obviously.
Yeah, it is always possible. So everything that's in game can be minted at any time, but the chances will go down and down. So in Generation 0, you are getting a fresh roll every time. There is absolutely nothing that can influence those rolls in Generation 0. When you're going to Generation 1 and beyond, then the parent Gooeys will always have some level of influence over the offspring that comes from it then. But that influence is not absolute. There are ways as well that you can kind of, I suppose, encourage mutation as well. If you got two Gooeys that have nothing in common, as in they have no shared traits or anything like that, then you are very unlikely to pass any traits down to them. I believe if you have two Gooeys that share nothing in common at all, then you're looking at it being about a 20% chance of inheritance of one trait from one of them. That's per trait. So you would have, you have an 80% chance in those cases of something new coming up. So I mean, that's kind of another interesting way to put it as well, that like, do we start kind of breeding Gooeys for what, exactly the traits we want them to have? Or will there be more of a benefit as we go on and we find out that, these legendaries are really hard to come by, that we'll actually be looking at Gooeys that are extremely different from each other, and we'll be looking at those to, start tumbling. So yeah, that's there is a mutation factor, and if you want to keep that mutation factor high, then you want to keep very different Gooeys around.
Yeah, that's a really good insight. I don't even think I knew that much in terms of the you get more of a random mutation if you breed Gooeys that are dissimilar. So that's really cool. I think that kind of keeps people, especially just any players who might have two Gooeys, from feeling maybe like they can't get what they want because they don't necessarily have the money to maybe buy a specific Gooey that they really want, but now they have at least a chance to really shake it up on subsequent mints. The next question is, are there traits and mutations that cannot be tumbled? Yeah.
Traits and mutations that cannot be tumbled. No, there are not. Everything can be earned through tumbling. I suppose, yeah, as I was saying, like it's very unlikely that you will, get a legendary unless you already have a legendary. But the only way to get that legendary would be to roll a legendary. So yeah, no, everything is possible in it, but the actual odds of what you're kind of rolling in it, that is very heavily determined by, if you're actually aiming to recreate a certain trait or anything like that. But yeah, there's nothing that's in the game which is actually locked out from you. All of them are already on chain. So yeah, you can jump straight in and have a look at them. Oh, sorry, that might have come out wrong actually. They're already on chain, but as far as jumping in and looking at them goes, there's a lot of them that have not been tumbled yet. I think I did a quick look through it on OpenSea just before we jumped on here. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff we haven't seen yet, which is pretty cool. We've nearly got one of everything in the rare categories, but absolutely nothing from the legendary category.
That's exciting, and I hope that tonight we start seeing some of those rolled. Now, we're a little light on questions, but I did want to take a minute to shower appreciation on Mary for her wonderful art. I think everybody has been extremely impressed with not only your work ethic with the team, but also just in general. You've seen it all day. The community loves your Gooeys. And from my perspective as a bit of an artist, but also just somebody who's worked in a lot of different companies, I've never really seen such a good idea executed so quickly and with, I think, such an accuracy to the vision from the beginning. So I just wanted to say, Mary, thank you so much for the work you've done. Your work is very, very excellent, very beautiful. And I look forward to seeing more of your work in the actual game.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to show a lot of stuff I'm doing for the game, and honestly, I'm very happy to see all those Gooeys now in those profile pics I'm seeing here, and a lot of tags I see in Twitter. Like I woke up today and I see all those Gooeys, and I needed to choose some Gooeys I will use as models for new stickers, and I already chose some, but I'm keep looking. And Jesus, for me, like it's amazing because as artist, I already spoke that I had some ideas and combination in mind that will look cool. But you guys who wrote all those Gooeys, you just showed me that there is still a lot of combinations I never ever thought about, but they look even cooler than the original ones I had in mind. And I don't even know, maybe it's because Gooeys are Gooeys, because I think that each Gooey, no matter if it's rare or if it's not rare, they are all pretty beautiful children. And yes, that was spoken that people like called me a mother of Gooeys or so. And yes, I just see them all as beautiful children, and I'm very excited to see what will be in the public mint. So I'm waiting.
Gooey mama. Yeah, Mary, to jump in on top of that as well, as Elijah was saying, your vision in what we've kind of built here was just absolutely fundamental to it. I don't think that Goweys would have been anything like it. I don't think it would be anywhere near as good if we didn't have your touches everywhere on it, both in your art, in the thoughts that you brought to it. And I think also, as everybody can hear here, is your love for the project. You've always been very excited for it. You've clearly put in your absolute best of work on it as well. They all look absolutely fantastic. And I know over the last week, I think both myself and you did a rotation and crunch to finish up on all the work that we did. But like, if I could work in a sense that I would have that kind of visual output, like sorry, I'm kind of stuck for words, but what I'm trying to say is you should be extremely proud, and the team here are all extremely proud of you. So thank you, Mary, and well done.
Hey, thanks. Well, I'm very happy.
A1.
Yeah, as you should be. Everything has turned out so well. And here's to Gooeys being the next big game on Polygon. Now we can dial back into some questions. So with regards to economy design, can we go more in depth into how we're trying to ensure that the Gooey token and Gooey NFTs don't suffer from inflation?
Yeah, so I guess that's what a lot of the spreadsheet work that I posted up on Twitter was kind of in relation to, that we did look at what the actual inflation rates would be. Like, it is an inflationary token. That's a reality that we kind of have to live with on it. We need to make sure that there are instant use cases for it. So whenever you're tumbling a new GUI or anything like that, you're not giving, the team your tokens or anything like that. You're burning them. So whenever you buy, so the actual food system in it, while there are quests for it and you can pick them up on OpenSea, there is also a store in game as well that you're able to buy them from. And that is again bought with the Goo token. You can get your fruit then. The fruit always has a use case. You need to use it to feed your GUI or to, get them new tumbles and stuff like that. And when you do pick it up with Goo, it is again burned. We just have to make sure that we're looking at all of that kind of stuff and make sure that there are enough. This is really what every game design, though, or kind of every game design philosophy, like any game that you play has, an inflationary, we call it a token, but generally an inflationary currency in it, like be it gold coins or what have you. And the actual game design and economic design of it needs to have a look at, how many sinks have we actually got for this? And there's kind of two sides to it. Gooeys, it could essentially be deflationary from the time that we put tokens into the actual pool. Maybe people are just, spending them more than they're making them, stuff like that, which would also be a cause for concern. That's a situation we need to avoid as well. At that point, then nobody can play the game because, you want to feed your GUI and so, yeah, that'll be 15 ether. So, there's an important aspect on both sides of it. We do have, I suppose, some level of control as well that we're able to maintain over it, that if things go absolutely haywire or anything like that. But typically, we've kind of designed it in a sense that we shouldn't be stepping in at any point, that these economies tend to kind of work themselves out as long as they're given enough opportunity to do so. And that opportunity when it comes to game design is making sure that you have, you've got your faucets and you've got your sinks, and you need to make sure that you don't have way too many faucets and only a tiny sink. And similarly, you don't want a tiny faucet and a massive sink as well. So yeah, that's just kind of making sure that there is always stuff in there to actually spend your GUI on, and that, we're not inflating at a rate that would be frightening as well. So you can have a look at, I mapped out kind of extreme cases and stuff like that of, if we have, like I put in this, what was it? If we had an absolute baby boom and there were just more GUIs being created than really we've even designed to allow to happen, stuff like that. Even that has been kind of planned out for. So yeah, this is all stuff that we have looked into carefully now with all economic designs and plans, stuff like that. We can, plan for various situations, but the reality is that, as we've seen with, even Bitcoin and Ethereum over the last while, is the tokens and coins and crypto, anything like that, and any kind of economy at all, even if we look at some real world economies, they do what they do. And a lot of it that we do on our end, we can be very proactive in planning for it, but reactionary kind of work towards it tends to not do very much. So yeah, a lot of our work was in the planning stages, seeing how we envision it going forward and planning out multiple kind of routes that we can take in the case that it goes into any of the, more extreme categories we've been looking at. But we'll also be, rewarding stuff like community liquidity providers and stuff like that. So we want to make sure that, we're incentivizing people to actually hold their tokens if it's for gameplay, or if they're looking at, I suppose, if there's a speculative side of it that you're looking at, that there are opportunities to kind of stake in without having to kind of sit there and, refresh on a DEX tool every day or anything like that. So yeah, something that we have done a decent amount of planning for. And I mean, being blunt on it, a lot of the design work is what took the vast majority of the time. I would say art probably is trumping design. But yeah, when it comes to like my code versus design, the design probably took up about 70 or 80% of the time. So yeah, it's something we have most certainly looked at closely.
So next question, which I can answer this one at least a little bit more. Is there a fixed amount of time that a Gooey can go out for a mission? Are harder missions longer? So from what I recall from our game design discussions in the background, there will be different kinds of missions, varying lengths, that have a chance at giving better rewards. And so it's really, do you send your Gooey away for a longer period of time at potentially getting a better reward, but then you can't use the Gooey to tumble, or you can't gear it up, you can't level it up with any fruit, you can't do anything else to it until it comes back. And so I believe that's kind of our process, is that there's harder stuff, easier stuff, and you kind of use your Gooeys accordingly.
Yeah, absolutely. So there are 6 different risk levels that you can send out your Gooey on. And in short, each of them, yes, they can give more rewards for more time and stuff like that, but they can also have a higher risk of failure. This is all dependent on your health, your defense, your attack, and your speed. So if you're breeding Gooeys and tumbling them to make, the strongest ones that you can, you will have a much higher chance of being able to do those longer quests that are able to give you, the much higher rate of reward and stuff like that. Now, we did look at it in the sense of, the snowball effect. We didn't want to make it to a point where, it's exponential growth or anything like that. But there is a considerable bonus that you can get from being able to do the longer ones and the ones that, run essentially a higher risk of failure. Eventually, as Gooeys are bred onwards and stuff like that, I imagine that even the highest risk one that we have in there, that might even be looking at, a 100% success rate for people who have the top level Gooeys, stuff like that. So yeah, it's something that's going to be interesting to see. But yeah, there are 6 different levels that are in it right now. And I believe the longest that we put in for is 120 hours. Yeah, it's 120 hours that we put in, the longest possible quest to send a Gooey on. And that one has pretty good rewards. And that's one of the big things you bring back from quests and stuff like that, along with Goo, is fruit. So there are 2 fruits in particular that allow you to get more tumbles, and they're pretty difficult to come across. But if you send them out on a longer quest, you'll have a much higher chance of getting it. If you send a Gooey out on the lowest possible risk, you don't even have a chance to roll for it. So all of this stuff will be communicated in game, so you can actually see all of that stuff as well.
And to clarify one thing, I made a joke in the Telegram with the Dark Souls "you died" screen when somebody asked if they could fail a mission. Gooeys can't die; they can just get banged up and need to recuperate a little bit. So there is that risk, but it's not like if you send.
Sorry. So there might be a little bit of a disconnect on the last couple of days. I was working through the contracts and optimizing. Yeah, they cannot get banged up either. So that actually didn't come from the fact that we needed to cut that out to save space. It was in realizing that if somebody was putting their Gooey on OpenSea and the Gooey got banged up, similarly, they're going to have an issue. So, you've got your Gooey, well done, it's banged up, you can't do anything. So, yeah, I removed that one from it.
Fair enough. Right I guess I should have clarified with you about that. Exactly. So there you have it. Fresh alpha, your Gooey can't get banged up, they just might not come back with anything. So
yeah, exactly. They can come back empty-handed. So essentially, you can lose some time, as in the time that you had them out in the quest. You can send them on a 120-hour quest and they come back with nothing. I think that's kind of enough of a risk-reward scenario to give either way. Like when you're looking at Gooeys getting banged up and stuff like that, needing to recuperate. It's more in the kind of the secondary market that kind of hurts. Like somebody comes in to play the game brand new and like, okay, I can't play for 3 weeks because my Gooey is hurt. So yeah, that one was taken out pretty last minute.
All right, yeah, no worries. Thank you for clarifying that. No sense having Gooey's misinfo out there already. Uh, kind of this next piece here, kind of about Gooey's retirement. So when you tumble new, stronger Gooeys, do old Gooeys kind of go to retirement, or will they be more useful for easier missions?
Yeah, and there
Yeah.
should always be a use for the older Gooeys. So number one is that new players might come in, and you might be 8 generations down the line now, and you have a Gooey that you're essentially just sending out to farm and stuff like that. Maybe you can put them up for rental for very cheap to bring a new player in. Maybe you could just put it on OpenSea or anything like that. So I do really like the idea of a Gooey retirement home. That might be an expansion that we plan in the future. But right now, I think it would be pretty foolish that even if you had a top tier Gooey, you would typically maybe be able to make 3 to 4 times the amount of goo that would be brought back in from a low level Gooey. That's kind of the scale that we're looking at building it on. We don't want the snowball effect where it's exponential for the higher levels. So if you have 4 or 5 lower level Gooeys, or you can pick them up at they're going cheaper on rent or anything like that, then maybe that's kind of the style that you would prefer to be playing in, that you don't mind having to do a little bit more, I suppose, micromanagement and having the shorter, less risky quests and stuff like that. But it's still bringing in a decent kind of passive Goose supply, which will then be able to look at the actual player allocations on it, and we can start looking towards building new stuff for it then. So yeah, there'll always be a reason for it, be that reason OpenSea, or be that just having a bit more micromanagement on your end. Or even if you wanted to, you could just give it to a friend that you want to get into the game, or anything like that. So yeah, we want to kind of make sure that there's always something for older Gooeys in it as well. We don't want to have kind of essentially, I'm not going to say graveyard, like as we said, Gooeys don't die, they're magical, etc. But we don't want to have a bunch of them that are just sitting there completely idle because there's literally no use for anybody. So we've designed around that fact, and it's expansions that we build onto it in the future as well. That's stuff that we'll be looking at. Do we look at actual amount of Gooeys and stuff like that for content that we build, rather than one super strong one? So yeah, it's all up in the air on it, but we will certainly be trying to make sure that the older Gooeys still have plenty of content available.
Great. So we have kind of a nice, fluffy, reminiscing question. And it looks like Skylar is also typing something. But we'll go ahead and at least start answering this question. How did the team come together? And I think it's a bit appropriate since it's been, I think, actually a full year now since everybody's been in the project. You heading it up, Owen, me just being a holder, Skylar helping out in a more official capacity, Mary coming on and coming in, I think, too. It's been a year, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, it's been a crazy, a lot of things have happened in a year. I think
Yeah.
how the team came together, obviously, I think, Owen, you took over from the original Dogira devs, and Skylar was instrumental in bringing Mary, I think, to the table, and myself, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so. Yeah. It's a mad one, actually. Like, it's kind of just hit me there. It has been a year, and I think I weighed a lot less a year ago. I definitely slept a lot more. But yeah, it is about a year. I think for myself, it was that the market was crazy at that time, and I think I was one of the first people that actually got into Dogira and bought up a couple of tokens. Like the price that I would have bought them at, I think it was about, like, if we include in the switch over from V1 to V2 and stuff like that, I think it was at about 10%, if not much less. And actually, no, I think it was at about 5% of the current price on it. And it had a parabolic growth overnight as all coins were just taking off, stuff like that. So, well and good and all, but one of the main reasons that I was kind of joining these communities was I was very interested in, I suppose, getting back into the development scene. Like Dogecoin, I loved working on, but the problem was that I wanted to focus on utility. And so the gravity well that I built, or well that I worked with Digibyte even to implement into the actual Dogecoin source code, a lot of that was to kind of cut out multi-coin miners and people who are just mining and dumping, because I wanted to give people actual uses for the Dogecoin. Now, for many reasons, it didn't go ahead with that. One of the bigger ones being, it was old blockchain. It just wasn't kind of fit for purpose anymore. Well, I'm not going to say not fit for purpose. There's plenty of reasons for more legacy chains out there, but it was difficult to work with the actual speed limits that were imposed on it. It was difficult to work with what became very high costs after a while. Granted, Ethereum did one up on what we kind of expected to be the peak, but yeah, I joined in and was looking around for tokens that were like the Dogecoin community, as in had really active people in it, people who enjoyed the more kind of light side of jumping in with crypto projects and stuff like that, but similarly wanted utility and those kind of things. So yeah, I spoke with, I believe it was Dan and Kit. So Kit is the old developer on it. And yeah, I guess it just kind of went from there. As I came on board, we found out that, there was one particular team member we had to get rid of. So, we cast that out. We were speaking with Kit then, and I suppose Kit again had fairly different ideas for what Dogira, was going to be and what he wanted it to be. It was more that, Kit enjoyed just the meme coin side of it, and he didn't want to kind of commit himself to long-term development on anything. So I guess it was kind of a very natural fit then that, I was looking for a community to get into that I could kind of, develop with again. And all of a sudden, this one was open and it already had a lot of stuff in it that I really liked. But yeah, long year from there. It's we're on a completely different chain. We have a staking platform. We have our first play to earn game coming out. We have a studio that's working with us at the moment to make another game. We have yourself, who's worked with likes of Cointelegraph and so on for our press releases now. We have Skylar, who's like taken over the running of the community and stuff like that. We've Mary, who will share with us with, I suppose, so much of the content that we've come to rely on. The art was kind of one of the first things that Mary was able to put together and actually show people what we're building. It's very difficult for me to do that when it comes to code because, it's only the final product that you can ever get from code. And it takes a while to put together. But Mary was able to put together, so many concepts of what we're building and, show off just some, that kind of really high quality stuff that we were aiming to kind of build Dogira around, that we wanted it to be a higher standard. And Mary was able to kind of, lead the way on that one while we were, busy building on everything else in the background. It's, it has been a wild year. Absolutely.
Well, people are asking, mint in 5 minutes, so I can talk a little bit, Owen, if you need to get ready to push a button.
Yes, I shall do. Get yourselves ready. I will take over the voice on here and start screaming when we're ready to go.
All right. You heard the man. Hold him to it. But yeah, I want to say just from I used to work in a small marketing startup that ran me into the ground. I was the only writer for them. And coming into this community and being able to originally just help out writing Medium articles to actually being hired onto the team in official capacity and getting to hang out with all of you guys every single day has been probably the biggest treat of my professional life so far. Working with Dogira, working with Owen, Skylar, Mary, Dan, Caroline, the guys over at Jupiter Lighthouse has been a real treat for me. It's been, I never wake up and go, ugh, I got to go to work. I'm always ready for the day when, we start and we have our meetings. It's been really great. And I want to thank every one of the holders for being with us and for all the great jokes, all of the great conversation, and really kind of carrying this torch. I think one of the things that we have that a lot of other coins don't have is we have a community that actually cares, and I feel like a community that is actually friends with each other. I think when you look at a lot of meme coins, you can tell that everybody is kind of out for themselves. They're ready to, stab somebody else in the back if they need to. But you guys are really great, have always been really great, and that's what made me really want to do more for the project. And so thank you guys for giving me the push to kind of step out and take that risk, because I don't think I would have left the marketing profession had I not had such strong faith that the community was going to help move us to where we needed to go. So
as we're launching this, keep in mind, guys, that there's going to be 2 mints given out during this. Like, we're going to have this launch, which is happening in a minute. So we're going to have that launch, and then afterwards, after a couple minutes of us talking, answering whatever other questions at the end here, we're going to give away 1 mint for the people that were having their Gooeys as their profile picture and posting them up everywhere. It's going to be random. And then we're also going to give a free mint out to just a random person in this Twitter space. But yeah, we're going to give away free mints, so stay tuned.
And as you said it, we're on the button. We are 23:59. Minting is open. Go get your Gooeys.
Minting is open. Go, go, go. Or goo.
Goo!
I remember there's a maximum of 3 mints per wallet. And just before we jump into that, while I was speaking about the team, and apologies, I'm going to put this down to absolute sleep deprivation. I did mention Caroline, who joined us so recently and has done so much in such a short amount of time. It's been absolutely fantastic having you on board as well, and long may it last. Welcome, and yes, thank you for being with us. I don't think she's actually on here, so I'm not going to get a response. But yeah, I think she's sleeping. I think we all need more sleep. And let's have a look and see what's getting minted.
For all you guys that do not know that are joining us that aren't following Dogira, aren't following Gooeys, you can join the Gooeys Telegram that should be available on the at Gooeys Play to earn P2E. Okay, beautiful. So if you guys listening right now, guys and gals, click on that plink, I guess that's a color now, a pink little squishy fella up on the top left-hand corner, the host of this space. You click on that, should lead you to the bio there. You can join the Telegram, find all the official links, and if you'd like to, mint your Gooey. It's at dogira.finance/Gooeys. It's with Matic. It's on Polygon Network, so yeah. Other than that, you might see also examples of them in the room. They're the little slimes, the little balls of goo. For example, the listener KCN, Bismuth, AC, Pepper, Unstable, Spencer, Rain, Greg, Iridel, Deltrox, Cousin, Emendor, Jacob, Bob, Youngster, all have them as their profile pictures. So if you want to even click on their names and look at their little Gooeys, feel free.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you get your Gooey, go tell anybody you know who's interested in GameFi or Play to Earn or NFTs. Check them out on Polygon. I think we've just run over nearly 100 mints since we've opened it up. So yeah, it's definitely building along. It's getting steam pretty fast. So,
wait, hold on. So like 2 minutes ago you opened it and it's already 100 mints from that point?
About that, I think we're at 250 during the private whitelist, and now we're at 335 and climbing.
Oh goodness, that's just 2 minutes. All right, well, be prepared for posts from Polygon of contract spikes. They normally post that stuff. There's definitely going to be one on here. So
yeah, we're at 345. Pretty cool. A1. That's fantastic. And we are now. I mean, that's more than 1/3 of the entire supply minted out now.
Hey guys, too. Once you get your Gooeys seen, drop them on the Public Minting is Live tweet so that people can start seeing all the Gooeys that are being minted. Oh, and did you mint your 3 yet?
I'm sitting here trying to. So I have my Polygon wallet and I have my Ethereum wallet, stuff like that. And I needed to move over to Matic, so I'm bridging. I'm getting there.
All right, guys, make sure that he can't get any by the time the bridge is done. Make it a really ironic story, but please leave some for Owen. He has worked so hard. He has worked so hard. Don't rob him of his 3 Gooeys.
Yeah, and I'd love to say that people, so I was thinking like, oh God, what if people start stalking my wallet or whatever? But I believe I actually already transferred the Gooeys.et ENS name to it, and well, I'm bridging across, so it will be known pretty quickly anyway. But yeah, it's I wish getting stuff across decks was quicker, but here we are.
Yes, the blockchain, fast and slow when you don't want them to be.
Yeah, well, Polygon side is pretty fast. It's the Ethereum side. That's I'm looking forward to all the updates we have coming out for it over, like, particularly in the summer, where you might see things get a lot cheaper and a lot faster on there, which will then benefit Polygon because it will be even cheaper and faster then as well. But yeah, I think this is it's a really exciting time for all that stuff in general, which is brilliant.
I feel like they've been talking about it's not ETH 2 anymore or Ethereum 2.0. It's just like making it more efficient. But I feel like they've been talking about that for almost a year, so I almost don't believe it when they're like, "Oh, it's going to be here this summer, we promise."
Yeah, no, it's to be fair, they have been pretty good at actually delivering a lot. So then, yeah, they're delayed quite a bit, but I mean, if we look at 1559, like, that launch, it was pretty much as everybody expected it to be. It was pretty good. Now, a lot of people, I think, had very high hopes for immediately bringing gas down into, $1 and stuff like that. That was never going to happen. But I think during summertime, it did actually go down to like $7 or $8 or something like that for a Uniswap transfer. That had a lot to do with Ethereum falling below $2,000. But yeah, I think that as time goes on, we're just going to see all these incremental updates come out on Ethereum. As Vitaly has said himself that he sees L2 rollups like Polygon being essential to Ethereum's future. That Ethereum is kind of the settlement layer of it, and we're going to see the building happening on these L2s like Polygon. So yeah, so that means it's back over to you to fill the silence, Elijah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, let's see. Where are we at now for Gooeys minted? We are at 379, and that's just in the first 8 minutes. So definitely make sure you guys are going everywhere. This is where you guys have been doing a great job, by the way. I don't want to make it sound like you guys are not doing a great job, because you've been awesome. This is where we need to take that energy that's been on the Telegram, and we need to just goo it all over Twitter. Like, you just need to take it in a giant bucket and just throw it everywhere. So that means going on influencer posts, and I know it seems awfully trolly to do it, but that means going on influencer posts. That means if you see guys like JF on Twitter being like, show off your NFTs, get in there, show them your Gooeys. I want to see Gooeys everywhere. Profile pictures in Telegram, in Twitter, on other social media if you so choose. But yeah, how is everybody feeling about their Gooeys so far? Definitely let me know in the Telegram chat here.
I don't think we can hear you, Bliss.
Oh, hello.
Oh, there you go.
Hey, I'm a community member, and I just wanted to say that y'all have been really great, and yeah, so appreciate everyone's hard work. So I don't know how else to say that other than saying it out loud.
Well, thank you. Really appreciate that. It's been great having you a part of the community as well. You have been one of the most energetic people in our community from beginning to end. So thank you for all the hard work that you do to be in the chat literally every single day. Like, I'm up and you're also on already chatting. And I'm already on pretty early because I'm up with my kid. But like, thank you for putting in the time in the community.
It's pleasure's mine. And I got a pretty pink one with like blue, or no, it's got pink bunny ears, and that's like a rare trait, so I'm pretty happy. And it's got like mean eyes too, like mean pink eyes, so it's pretty good, I'm happy.
Oh,
So
mean eyes was originally the idea of community, as far as I know, which I just grabbed because I saw that people wanted a mean eyes.
Well, mischievous eyes, like ready to do some tumbling.
We're getting a comment from the AMA questions. Mate wants Owen to sing the pump it up song.
I mean, I want a lot of things out of life. It just doesn't mean it's going to happen.
I was going to say, I feel like we've had this happen before, and you've staunchly said, no, please go away. So maybe if you type all the lyrics in like Microsoft Sam or something and then hold it up to your phone speaker, that would count.
I will say, once we get a nice metaverse space set up, I can be like the metaverse guitarist if that suits everyone. There's a reason I have an instrument, but there is not a musical bone like elsewhere in me. It just kind of went into the fingers, and that was it.
So real quick, we just found a Gooey with looks like fawn horns. Is that a rare trait combo?
Fawn horns, yes, they are rare.
Very nice. Somebody already called it Goocifer the Lightbearer.
Nice. I think that's one of the. We're going to have to get a contract up which allows people to actually, assign full names to their Gooeys. Like that was planned in this release, but it was actually one of the very last things that I had to take out to get within the memory limitations we had. So yeah, I think that is going to be something we're going to have to get in on like an additional contract, just to allow people to assign names onto their Gooeys. Because I think everybody has like picked names in their heads for them, and now we have to make that formal and official, like allow people to actually name the Gooey, have it show up with that in game, stuff like that.
Oh, I like that double pink lava Gooey. ZZ Ace, very nice.
Oh, double pink lava?
Yeah, so he's got the pink body with the pink ears. The pink lava ears.
Got the matchup on it. A1. That might be one of the rarest ones we've had so far.
While we're waiting for this and kind of enjoying seeing, number go up with the mints, did you see, Mary or Elijah or Owen, did you see any particular Gooeys that you think should win this giveaway?
Oh.
Remember, it's random. It's not judged off any metrics. You can just eeny, meeny, miny, moe it if you want.
Very fair.
I can't choose such things.
For me, I really like Gooey 104. It's got the owl. It's got like pearlescent owl ears, a clover crown, a kind of dark blue and purple jelly body. It looks like the emerald magic mask, and pink eyes.
Oh, what number was that again?
104.
104. I'll do a look at that one. I've just received my Matic.
I like 212. It's an angry Gooey with yellow magic mask. It looks like the T-stone body, and a halo and purple owl ears. It's got a very angry angel vibe to it. I like it.
That's pretty rare too. Oh yeah, I saw a question earlier that I was meant to answer during the actual Q&A part. But somebody's asking if we're looking to get it onto a rarity sniffer or the likes. Yes, we are. We're going to kind of be getting more closely at work on that one over kind of the next week or so. Just this week was 100% around getting everything up and running.
Your 1,000 children are going to take over the world. How do you feel about that?
It's a huge kindergarten.
Yeah, the usual, 15-1 rule doesn't apply here.
Oh, I think I might have sniped the funny number off someone. I think I sniped the funny number off somebody by accident. Because I got 418, but I didn't get 419, meaning somebody jumped in and tried to buy it like quickly. But I got 420, and I think people would have wanted 420.
Does he have pizza on his head? That is the question.
Waiting for his NFT image to come into me. I'm imagining the NFT kit is being put through some paces at the moment to get all of these minted out.
Yeah, because we started at mid 200s, right?
Think so, yeah. I'll do a quick check and just see how it's going, because then we might be able to just give it a little boost as well, let it run a little bit quicker.
Mine just popped in. I said mine just popped in, so that's 341.
What number are you?
341.
41. Okay, yeah, maybe we will speed it up a little bit.
Ooh, magma obsidian body, dreamscape fish ears, and intense blue eyes. Nice.
That is a good Gooey.
That is a good Gooey. It also has the little pink or purple, or not purple. Jeez, I don't know my colors. Blue butterflies hanging out over its head. I like it.
Pretty cool. Let's see, what are we up to at the moment? So on the back end, it's running at a decent speed. We're up to 377 on the actual back end. But yeah, we can probably make it run a little bit faster than that.
In case you guys didn't know, our NFT kit is a tool that was made by Owen, and it uses Chainlink VRF. It is actually like it's verifiably random, and so it's entirely fair. It's just another decentralized tool that we go ahead and include on there to make use of blockchain tech.
Yeah, so the NFT kit itself, the big part of this here is the off-chain part. So your attributes are generated on-chain by Chainlink VRF, and they're verified on there. And what the NFT kit is doing right now is listening to every mint that happens. And it looks up, any mints that have come between the last update that it did. And then it starts generating the images. It hosts them down on a server, which we can also pipe over onto, interplanetary file system and stuff like that. And yeah, it allows us to have these gorgeous images, high quality images, all be generated in real time. So this is one of the first kind of an issue I've had with a lot of the mints that we see going out, that sometimes you can't be 100% certain that the process chosen, or the process that chose who's getting what mint, was fairly picked. And maybe there might be team members that wanted a certain combo, stuff like that. So yeah, with Chainlink VRF, you can verify it all on chain. Like you get what the Chainlink says you get, and that's it. So really love working with that. And I mean, that's making up such a huge basis on the actual contracts that we have running now for Gooeys. Like the quests, they all get the random numbers generated from Chainlink. And like I said, attributes, and if you're going to inherit a trait from either mommy Gooey or daddy Gooey, whatever, that's all done through Chainlink as well. There isn't anything on the contract that needs a random number that is not using Chainlink. So yeah, that's become a really big part of the ecosystem that we're building.
I'm getting a few questions about what legendary traits are.
You'll find out when they get rolled.
Does it say that it's legendary, or does it say like 0.001% or something?
No, you will know it when it's rolled. It looks legendary.
Okay.
It is really cool.
I'm assuming
it's like a worry that I have, because the highest chance of it getting minted is within the initial 1,000. After that, then does genetics start coming into it? And I do have a genuine fear that we might just have to show a photo of what a legendary looks like at some point, because it won't roll.
Oh man, that's a very high risk. That is a very high risk. Watch it be like the last Gooey minted of the origin is like got one of our legendary traits.
Yeah, it's a really low chance. So again, like I said, there's 2 roles for all traits that you build. One of them is your qualifying role, which says, are you open to getting rares? Are you open to getting a legendary? And yeah, it's like 3% of the roll, a chance to just get into the category for rolling a legendary. After that, then you have to actually roll the legendary, which, is like 1 in 46 or 1 in 47 in some of the cases. So if you take the actual math from that, what is it? So 3 over 100 multiplied by 1 out of 47, or it's massive, basically.
That might be just a little evil, Owen. I think those numbers are not in anybody's favor.
If you get a legendary, or if you get a rare, it means legendary or rare. And I think games need a bit more of that. It's one thing I hated when I was, playing, like, I think World of Warcraft, again, to use that as an example, that, back in the day when it was brand new, if you got something that was just uncommon, then that was like a cause for celebration. And then as the years went on, it was kind of, you pick up an item and it wasn't epic. So you literally just throw it out straight away. There's no use for anything that is not epic. So yeah, that was one thing that kind of got me as I was playing the older games, that everything had to be epic. Otherwise people didn't like it at all. So yeah, I'm here to put a stop to that. If you get a rare, it's rare. If you get a legendary, then really it is legendary.
Mm. I like that.
I'll leave it to the...
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. No, go ahead, man.
I was going to say, I really like that philosophy. I know that it feels, it's probably punching somebody who's like one of those completionists in the gut, because they know that they probably won't be able to get their hands on it. But I really don't like in MMOs and like looter shooters and stuff where the loot and the rare stuff is so almost more common than like the common stuff. Like Destiny has this weird issue where like the common tier, which is green, literally doesn't roll in endgame anymore because it's all purples in order to be viable. So like your most common thing is your legendaries, and your least common thing is your uncommon gear. And so I find that that's an interesting dynamic that a lot of games unintentionally commit to, or maybe intentionally commit to, but they're kind of forced into it. So
yeah, no, like I mean, and a lot of the games that actually still have uncommon gear, or so like common gear and then uncommon and stuff like that. They had to give it a completely different purpose because you knew the players weren't ever going to actually use it. So they had to give it a really high price to sell to a vendor, so you could use it it's basically a farm item rather than anything you'll ever use. And I hate that. Like I think I spoke about this in the last Q&A we did, when you can pick up Skyrim, and if you wanted to, you could just grind up your armor skill for a couple of hours on day one of playing the game. You get armor that's so good you've ruined the game on yourself. Like you have. Like you're never going to get rewarded from any quest you do, because nothing that you ever get will beat that, and that's it. And it's kind of what happened with the epic and legendary stuff in games, that like people just think it's trash if it is not epic or legendary. So like people pick up something and they kind of want to use it forever. I think Breath of the Wild actually did a good job in bringing back in a system where like your weapons are going to break, so don't get attached to them, stuff like that. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm just a narcissist for the games I play.
I was gonna say, that's a controversial take.
Yeah, no, I really liked it. Like, you had to use different weapons, and then I enjoyed using them. Now, it'd be different if they had, one decent weapon in the game and everything else was garbage. But I thought that they were all great, and they were kind of disposable enough that you would save up a couple of good ones, to keep with you for a boss fight. But when you got to the boss fight, you would use them, because you had a limited inventory as well. Like that's a really difficult balance to strike. There's one thing I hate, and this is a real pet peeve of mine, is the inventory system. I think that we've gotten it wrong always. Like, well, not always. Obviously, Breath of the Wild did pretty good with it. But say Fallout, when I'm walking around with 300 pounds of gear on me at any one time, and I need all of it, because I might decide to set up a settlement. So I need all of it on me at any one time, but you can't. So what do? You build a chest with all your stuff in it, and you try to like build them all next to each other so that you can access every chest at one time when you're crafting. And no, in a game like Fallout, sorry, you're just going to have to kind of break the illusion here and just make it an unlimited inventory. Like, I never found it fun when I was, going into a room, wiped out a couple of people, and then I had to check the loot one by one and compare it to the loot I'd already collected and see, am I going to get more caps off this loot? And then, yeah, it's a level of micromanagement that I don't like. So, yeah, inventory systems. That is something that always struck me poorly in a lot of games. But Zelda, Breath of the Wild, no, thought it was really well done. You've made it scarce, but I don't need to carry around the world in my pocket either. So, yeah. And that is my rant and ramble on game design for today.
Hammer Space is not for every game. That's for sure. The Hammer Space is it's a D&D thing for people who don't play a lot of D&D. It's this idea that you have a pocket that reaches into another dimension, so you can literally store anything in there. And that's what a lot of games opt for, because it's just better that way for them. A lot of the other games like Fallout and Skyrim and pretty much any Bethesda title, they'll have gear limits. Dark Souls and those games are another one. But yeah, Hammer Space is one way to solve the issue. Limited slots is the other way. But scarcity in a game, meaningful gear is always hard to pull off, I think. Like even in it, so I'm playing Elden Ring, and I'm sure Bliss can identify with this. Playing Elden Ring, and a lot of gear I don't use because my build literally can't use it, which is totally fine. That means I should play a different character if I want to do different stuff. But when you are needing some new gear and you just literally can't find the new gear you want, it ends up being a bit of a headache, because it feels like RNG's against you, basically. So I like then, kind of turning back on Gooeys, I like that no matter what GUI you have, you're able to actually do what you want in the game. And you have things you can work towards, because everything that you have at your disposal is valuable. Your play experience might look a lot different than somebody else's. Say somebody does roll a legendary Gooey, well, there's going to be different, you know, different things that open up to them, and say having maybe Gooeys that look a little bit cooler, or you know, maybe they have really high stats, and so, but you can still play the game. You're not gate kept by, you know, having a Gooey that has pretty mediocre stats.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of, my Gooeys just came in, and I have one I really like, 418.
418.
So, yeah, I got the Cold Violet Mask. I got the Violent Radiant Fields. I got the Purple Owlier. I got the Violet Root. I got the Dream Space Body, which I'm really happy with.
Ooh, very nice.
Wow, it is super beautiful.
Yeah, I'm really happy with that.
Dev cheated.
Nope, I have Chain Link to back me up on this one. I had nothing to do with it.
Chain Link cheated. So you said you bought, did you get 420 as well?
Yeah, 418, 420, and 421.
Ooh, I like 420. 420's got that Clover Crown. Very similar.
Does he?
Yeah, very similar trait combo to 418 in the sense of like the color theme, but very, very nice.
I'm looking at 421 at the moment, and I got the Emerald Rune Mask, which again, I'm very happy with.
Well, all your Gooeys have the owl ears, so you'll be in good shape to carry that one down.
Yeah, no, I like the owl ears. I would have liked some bunny ears, but yeah, no, I'm going to get along well with the owl ears.
You can rent one of mine
overall.
But yeah, man, these are all turning out really great. I know that we're basically just tooting our own horn at this point, but
that's what we're tooting Mary's horn.
That's
awesome artwork, Mary. And I'm tooting Chainlink's horn. Thank you for giving me a rare Gooey.
Actually, I wanted to also announce the giveaway, the random giveaway for this Twitter space. I put it through a little generator, and we got Fract. Let me click on his name here. It's a blue pink avatar. Fractalians. So, Fractalians. Hopefully, you can hear me. We'll go ahead and send a DM your way. You go ahead and send a DM our way if we don't get to you immediately after this space. Or follow us, jump in our community, and ping us. Let us know, and we'll go ahead and send on to your free Gooey.
Awesome.
Congratulations,
man.
We finally got a metal golden body. So there is a golden body that has a honey trait name. And now in 0371, we got a real golden body. That's it. And we also got a sapphire rune body as well. It's the first one, I think, in all of them.
Awesome. What number was the golden one?
371.
371.
Oh, nice.
Oh, well done.
Gold nugget. The heaviest Gooey known to man.
Yeah, I'm actually like, so I always have in my head, how they're moving around and have to kind of like, kind of like bouncing themselves along. Is like a solid gold Gooey just like kind of stuck in one spot for life until other people push him into place?
All the other Gooeys roll them around in siege battles. They use them as the cannonball.
I'm going to put that into the lore. Thank you.
Awesome. Cannonball clan. Love it.
They got the gray mask as well. That's a great Gooey.
Yeah, I love it.
The bunny ears. Well, I absolutely love the runestone ears. We've seen a couple of those come in now. They're probably my favorite.
The bunny ear ones?
No, the runestone ears.
Oh yeah, those are awesome. Those are awesome.
I also quite like the trees.
Okay. So now that everybody's kind of minting, mingling, are there any heated questions you want to ask? Because, I mean, we can keep just observing how cool these are, but at some point we can just say, wow, that looks really nice. Wow, that one also looks really nice.
I don't know, I can go for that.
Sure thing. Well, if you guys want us to check out your Gooeys, drop the number of your Gooey in either the AMA questions or the Gooey's Telegram, and we will pull it up and check.
Absolutely. But I will say that from the developer side, I may have to jump into bed soon enough, as it has been a long crunch over the last week, and I'm really looking forward to hitting the mattress.
Yeah, definitely sleep, get yourself a steak dinner. You know, all the good things that you should do when you've hit an important milestone in your life.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's an important milestone for Dogira and, you know, for, I hope, the general play to earn gaming community that, you know, we're building something that is kind of built with long-term sustainability in mind, and also built with kind of such a careful level of attention to detail. And obviously I'm speaking, you know, not just on the code side of it and the community side of it, but, you know, the art side of it, the most visual kind of striking sense. I mean, it's just absolutely, like, I think that's why I'm really enjoying looking over all of these. It's that we don't get to see this very often in, you know, the NFT community or the play to earn community. You know, there are some brilliant projects out there, but it's always a rarity when we get to kind of work with, you know, Mary, who just did such fantastic work on all of these. And yeah, it's, I mean, there's a massive, now I will say, after kind of crunching through the end of development, and again, as I said, we might release the Discord chat logs at some point for me talking about trying to shave off 1 and 2 bytes. And what was it at the end? I think there were 9 bytes that I had to go and figure out how to get rid of from the application so we could actually mint and launch.
Oh,
yeah, that just wrecked my day when I saw it. 9 bytes over.
Literally 9 bytes, and you're like, oh, I've already gone through and made the error codes 2 numbers.
Yeah. And this was after all of the, I think some of the error codes are now actually just 1 character, and that's how I saved a couple more bytes. But yeah, my body does feel a bit like it has been through a car crash. Like tensed up everywhere with that level of stuff to do in it. But being able to see everybody minting their Gooeys now, being able to see, you know, the community's hard work in telling people about the project, get them on board, and Mary's hard work in putting all of like these fantastic artwork layers together. I think it has absolutely been worth it. So if you've picked up your Gooey, make sure you spread the word on it. Wear it with pride. I think they look fantastic. I'm definitely going to have to switch over my Twitter profile picture for a couple of days. And yeah, get more people in on it, because I mean, there's only 1,000 Generation 0 mints that can ever happen. After that, then like we're going to be looking at tumbling and stuff like that. So yeah, get the word out, and let's get in the 1,000. If we can get 1,000 mints by the time we're actually launching this, then you know the next batch of them will just purely be from the day 0 buyers and players. So yeah, thanks to everybody who's been putting in all the work on that side, and massive thanks to, I suppose, the rest of the team with Elijah, Skylar, Caroline, and Mary as well. And you know, it's just unreal that, you know, so much work was put on in their part, which allowed me to focus on the code over that time. So it's been massively appreciated, and to all the community members that have jumped in and helped out wherever they can, especially with all the new people joining in the community. So yeah, keep getting the word out. Don't be afraid to show off your Gooey with pride. You can link on to the Gooey's webpage, which I will get updated just to give a live minting button on it. And yeah, the Dogira Finance Gooey's platform is already updated with that. So we'll get that done, keep spreading the word, get more people in. And yeah, we'll speak soon where we'll be talking about the Play to Earn game launch next. So yeah, thanks to everybody for attending. I'll leave you in the very capable hands of, well, Elijah, Skylar, and Mary here. And I will get myself into the mattress. I think I'm going to sleep for about a day.
Sweet dreams. We did get a Mecha Goo as well. So you can go to sleep.
Okay. I have to look at that before.
Which number?
It is
where?
405.
What is it?
405.
405.
Okay, I've got to see that before I go to bed. Oh, we got him. Wow, it's rare that's a great Gooey.
That is a bit, yeah.
He got the Shaman mask, that's brand new. He got the Neon Obsidian, Neon Obsidian, not the Runestone, the Spellstone one.
Yep.
Which, yeah, this is awesome. How much Matic do you want for that Gooey?
Yeah, who got 405? Because we all want your Gooey now.
It's such a cool Gooey. Yeah, that's I'm gonna sit here like overtired and just start like ruin the Gooey economy by just buying all the Gooeys myself and just it's my game and nobody can join. Right, I am going to get myself into the aforementioned mattress. Enjoy your minting, and I'm looking forward to seeing more and more Gooeys on my Twitter wall when I wake up in the morning. Enjoy,
Have
everybody.
a good sleep.
Speak soon. Bye now.
Bye.
Just check 450.
450. 450.
What it reminds you of? Who?
It minted Spike.
Yes, it's almost Spike.
It's almost Spike. It's got different ears and a different mask, but it's Spike's younger brother, Bespoke.
That's oh god, Bespoke.
It's just a little bit greeny Spike. Maybe somebody forgot him in the fridge.
Yeah, someone forgot him. Someone forgot him in the fridge. He said.
Oh man, I love it. Mary, I gotta gush one more time. Your art's so good. Like no matter which gooey combo it is, it looks awesome. So thank you for all your hard work. Thank you for just the crazy level of dedication. I've never met an artist who pumps out so many high quality assets so quickly. So kudos to you. And yeah, I think that concludes our launch party here. We're definitely going to be making sure that we're on Twitter and getting the word out about Gooeys. We'd love your help too. So if you can show off your Gooeys on any of the recent tweets that we've put up from either Dogira or Gooeys, if you can tweet with the cash tag, so not the hashtag, but the cash tag with the $, cash tag Goo, that'll help people who click that to see all of the tweets that feature Gooey stuff. So that'll help a lot to bring up our visibility. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Skylar, before we go?
I know that's it. You guys really do help get the word out, so we want to thank you for that. That's awesome. And keep in mind that this game is coming out is early access, and so think of it like you have the ability to contribute to not only the lore but the mechanics and anything else in the game. So send us your ideas. You may just end up seeing the things that you have in your own mind appear on the screen. So again, let us know. Join our community, and we can go ahead and build this game together. Yep. With Owen building it, of course. You can make him do all the work.
We'll help lay the other welcoming bricks, the floor mat for new players. But great, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Enjoy your Gooeys. We'll have tons of more info for you guys very soon.